This is the ugly part of the show today because the Raiders went from having the first overall pick, a straight shot at Shador Sanders or whoever the Raiders want, to now being the fifth pick in the draft with at least three quarterback needy teams in front of them. So, how did this happen, Mike?
Isaiah Polamau wanted to be a hero, forcing 2 fumbles in this game. And apparently they felt like getting the running game going finally this season, which makes sense. They went up against the, garbage ass Jacksonville Jaguars, which is just phenomenal. Um, I don't know. I'm
Not happy.
yeah, I am annoyed for sure. I don't know.
Antonio Pierce, you had one job. Your job was to lose and secure that first pick.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That to me, how many times do I have to say it? Take your damn medicine. The Raiders, take your damn. What is this about playing for pride? Play for pride by making the playoffs. Do what you need to do to turn the organization around. Don't you think Tom Brady is sitting there like, they did what? I mean, okay. The one thing that's like okay for Raider fans to like not necessarily worry too much is that if Shador really is only interested in playing for the Raiders and he maneuvers his way, tells all the teams that he only is interested in playing for the Raiders, he can very well do that. We're in 2024. Players have more control over where they play, more control than ever. I feel like it's worse in basketball than it is in football, but it still does happen in football. We saw it. I mean, even back then, Eli Manning did the same thing, right? He didn't want to play for the Chargers, and he decided he wanted to play for the Giants, and then they made the trade, right?
Yep. Yeah. So this is what I was kind of having this conversation at the dinner table tonight, but like my theory with how it could still work with Shador Sanders is if that's really like the guy all around. He wants us, we want him, which I think that is probably the case with Tom Brady involved. Winning this game and shooting down from the first or second at worst pick to the 6th overall pick is now you have to trade. Like I don't think there's a scenario where Shador can control 5 other NFL teams into not picking him. Really, probably 3, because I think the Jags and Patriots aren't looking for a quarterback. They are looking for the best player in the draft, which is Travis Hunter, whoever gets lucky enough to land him, or the best lineman or whatever else is out there.
Question. Is
Yeah.
Travis Hunter, I haven't watched a single Colorado game. Is Travis Hunter really that good, or is it just like, is his skill set that he plays both sides?
Oh, I think he's really that
And he's
good.
good at both. And he's
He's
really good at both.
He's like dominant at both. Yeah.
Because like I don't see a player being drafted in the NFL just playing both sides.
No, I don't think he will. I think it probably depends on the team's need. You could have packages. The way that I would treat him, I guess, is I would have him play as a corner, and I would give him packages as a receiver. But if we're desperate for a receiver, he's a starting receiver. If we're desperate for a corner, he's a starting corner. That's probably the way I would do it. Or I would just say, well, whatever you're best at, we're going to stick you there, but we're not going to force you to play 100% of snaps. That's ridiculous. But, the fact that he's, dominant, I would say, at both positions is like reason enough to be like, yeah, you can pick him top 5 and not question anything,
Because I just can't imagine the ramifications. Like, like, oh man, Travis Hunter just got injured. Obviously knock on wood. I'm not wishing for that. Damn, we're down a corner and a receiver. Fuck,
Yeah. Yeah.
Our top corner and our top receiver are gone. One play.
Travis Hunter is special, though. He is the only other defensive player to win the Heisman not named Charles Woodson. So, but obviously playing as much receiver as he did probably went very much into that. But I think when Charles Woodson played in college, he was a little similar, where he would have packages playing receiver,
Yeah.
But yeah, basically now the Raiders are behind the Giants, obviously, the Titans, and the Browns. And really, there's only 2 quarterbacks worth going in the top 5. And you got 3 teams ahead of you. Like, whether it's Shadur Sanders telling the Giants, no, not happening, or if the Raiders are, good with Cam Ward, regardless, you have to trade up. It's either the Giants take Shadur Sanders anyways and force the Raiders to trade with them, and it's a reverse New York Giants, Chargers, Eli Manning thing, or, whatever happens with the first pick, and then the second or third pick, probably the third pick, the Raiders have to trade up and get their quarterback.
Oh, excuse me. I said that they went from the 1st to the 5th. I guess maybe after the result of the Sunday night football game, it might have switched a little bit based off the strength of the schedule, but they're at number 6 now.
Yeah, I want to say there was a moment where when the Raiders first lost, the New England game was still going, so they were slotted at 6th because they had one less loss, but then they ended up losing to the Bills, and that's why they're at 2nd overall.
Oh.
I mean, New England just won big time, theoretically. Like, if they went from, like, the 4th pick now at least to the 2nd pick, like, if they can get Travis Hunter, that, oh my gosh. To pair with Drake May, oh, wow.
But, so what do you think, Mike? Giants need a quarterback. New England, they're not going to draft a quarterback. They might trade out of that position if Travis Hunter is not their guy. But, I mean, he very well could be. Jacksonville does not need a quarterback, in my opinion. They are – it's going to be either New England or Jacksonville who's going to take Travis Hunter if they don't,
Right.
And if he doesn't fall there, they're going to trade back with somebody like New Orleans. New Orleans could very well be the team that trades up. The Jets could very well be the team that trades up for a quarterback if they move on from Aaron Rodgers. Other than that, like, let's see, no other teams I see here are moving up for a quarterback. Those are the 2 teams I would say. Oh, could the Niners? We've seen that story before, though.
Yeah.
I said New Orleans or the Jets.
Yep.
But, it's already been decided Niners are going to pay Brock Purdy $500 million per year.
There you go. We'll see. The good news right now for the Raiders is that Tennessee and Jacksonville play each other, I think, to end the season. So one of those teams, in theory, could be behind us. That bumps us up at least 1. What's not good news for the Raiders is that we play the Saints this week.
That is what I was going to, say. If I'm a Raider fan, I'm worried that they might beat the Saints this week because the Saints. I mean, we still have to see like what it'll look like with Kendre Miller because Kamara maybe is not coming back this year, but the Raiders could mess around and have a win streak here.
Yeah, and if I don't know, strength of schedule 5.43. So if we win and the Panthers and Jets both lose, we would jump to the 8th pick. Which would be...
Do you know what it took for the 49ers to go from 12 to to 3. It took 3 firsts and a third, Mike.
Yeah, I know. Well, at the dinner table, I was like, if we stay at 6 overall and we want to trade up to three overall, oh, it's just 3 picks. Yeah, say goodbye to next year's first round pick. If you're going for a quarterback, just say goodbye to that pick. Like, that's what's annoying me is just winning this useless game or beating the Ravens. You know, it's just like that's gonna cost you future assets. It's like, yay, we won a game to some people, who don't care about the draft apparently. And the quarterback position, they care, but they don't think about it like that, right? They just
The Ravens
win,
game
baby.
was not a crime. That was at the beginning of the season. You're trying to make the playoffs. Now, towards the end of the season, once you're eliminated or it's trending that way, dude, just secure that higher draft pick, honestly, because it's not only just the first pick that's higher. Isn't it all the draft picks are higher because it doesn't snake in the NFL? It's like each round it goes same pick, same order.
Each round,
like the second round, the Raiders would be the 6th pick in the second round.
I don't know if they do like the second round also by strength of schedule. My assumption is that, let's say, damn, nobody has the same strength of schedule, huh?
Big board, no.
I guess if the Raiders had the same exact strength of schedule. Okay, so there's some flipping. Yeah, so it just each team goes up one if they're tied, I guess.
Yeah, to be at the top of the rounds, I think is huge. I would rather be at the top of rounds than to be at the end of, like, let's just say the third round and draft a kicker or a tight end that can't catch.
Right. But just looking really quickly, though, New England to Las Vegas, those teams are tied, right? So first round, you can see it's the proper order. That's the first round order. Second round, see how New England jumps to the bottom?
Uh-huh.
That's how they do it. Every round, if you're tied, they jump each other. So first round, New England got the highest pick. Second round, they jump all the way down below the lowest tied team, which is the Raiders. Everybody else jumps up one. Each round, that keeps going, right? So.
Yeah, still, it's like if the Raiders had just lost this game, they're at the top of.
Yeah.
They are at the top. They would have been tied with the Giants. They would have been tied with the Giants, right?
They'd be alternating with the Giants each round. Yeah.
Yep. But
that's what I would have liked.
Okay, my question: what do they gain? What did they gain, Mike, by winning this game? We haven't even talked about the game. Whatever happened in the game is not the story. Brock Bowers had a great game. Newsflash: Brock Bowers is a generational player. What did they? What? Why?
That's the annoying part is at this point in the season, and like I get your point about like the Ravens game. It's like, well, there's no fault in beating the Ravens. Like that's awesome. Week 2 when we did that, it was like, oh my god, like all right, good. Like we can beat these great teams. Yeah, any given Sunday. But in hindsight, that was my point. Was in hindsight, it's like you win these useless games when you're a shitty team. If you're a shitty team, you're a shitty team. You need to lose. Take your medicine. We talk about it. Yes, you want to beat the Ravens. You want to beat the Chiefs. You want to beat the Lions or the Bills or whoever. But if you're not one of those teams that's going to make the playoffs, nobody's going to tank. Nobody's going to tank. But God, I wish that they would. Like, I wish that they, at the very bare minimum, would just somehow find the ways through bad luck or whatever you want to call it to lose every single game. Starting after the Browns game, like win one game, don't go completely 0-17. Don't embarrass your franchise in that way and become a record holder for one of the worst seasons ever. But beat the Browns in week 3 or 4 and lose the fuck out. Get the first pick your quarterback, pick your guy that's going to turn your franchise around in theory. Will Shadur Sanders or Cam Ward for a fact turn the franchise around? I have no clue. There's a lot of talk about like, oh, these two quarterbacks aren't as good as previous, top end quarterbacks. Hey, maybe this is actually a blessing in disguise. I'm going to hope for that if we can't get either of them. That's the best I can do. But
you're essentially, if the Raiders can't get them, you're hoping they're not the next big thing.
Right. I'm hoping that they didn't just miss out on finally giving me what I want, which is consistent playoff success.
Last year you wanted Jaden Daniels. The year before you really wanted CJ. No, was it? Yeah,
CJ Stroud.
You wanted CJ Stroud the year before.
Both years they needed to be in the second overall pick, and that's where they could have been right now. Is that second overall pick, and I could be coming out of in May being like, God, I hope they get Cam Ward. That's my guy.
Even Bryce Young looks really good right now.
Yeah.
He's really, like, ever since he came back from being benched, like Andy Dalton got injured, I feel like he's playing a lot more loose. There's not all that pressure on him to like be great, and he has like unironically been very good. Or like, I guess, funny enough, he has been very good, not ironically.
So to answer your question of what did the Raiders gain, what they might have gained, depending on how other teams handle this upcoming off season, what the Raiders might have gained by beating the Jaguars, and we'll see how it goes against the Saints this week. What they might have gained is the clear and obvious favorite. How should I term this? What they have gained is possibly becoming the clear and obvious favorite to be in the running for Arch Manning in a year. But the problem with tanking for Manning is there's no guarantee that he declares for the draft.
Yeah, so are you just gonna wait?
Yeah, I would much rather get the second pick, take Cam Ward, and if you guys suck the following year and you earn the first overall pick, take Arch Manning. Just keep picking them. I don't give a fuck. Pick the quarterbacks, and when you find the right guy, there's your guy. The other guys, don't care. Trade them, cut them. Who gives a shit? Back up. But you have to have quarterbacks. And if you can have a chance, Arch Manning, hell yeah, cool. Do I want to go 2-15 next year? No. I want a quarterback, and I want to start the trajectory to go upwards. I don't want to wait. But if they can clearly be the worst team in football next year, I'll take it. I'll take one more beating for Arch Manning. Yes, but is it a guarantee that we're going to get him? Is it a guarantee that come, December, January, a year from now, he's going to be like, hell yeah, I'm declaring for the draft? No, that's not a guarantee at all. With my luck, we're going to earn the first overall pick, and I'm going to be like, oh my God, dude, we got Arch Manning. What are you? And then in just January 5th, the Instagram post that broke the world, Arch Manning, just a GIF or a GIF, however you say it, of Leonardo DiCaprio going, I ain't fucking leaving. And I'll be done.
Dude, or Arch Manning declares for the draft and he's like,
I'm not going to the Raiders.
I'm not going to the Raiders. You can draft me, you're going to have to trade me. I'm a man.
I only want to go to the Colts. I only want to go to the Colts or Giants.
I don't think that Arch Manning would do that because I think he would. I mean, he has to know Tom Brady.
Yeah, but he also is a descendant of Eli Manning. But you're right. I mean, hey,
the Manning to
but Brady, like yes, Brady should be a good that'd be cool to go there and have Brady in my corner for sure. I think any quarterback should think that way, but I think the coaching staff matters. So
Mhm.
I don't know, dude.
I think like maybe he just might be worried that Mark Davis might try and steal his girlfriend or something. I'm
Whatever.
obviously kidding. I'm just, you know, this is super off topic, but doesn't Mark Davis have like a 20-something-year-old girlfriend, or is that like rumors?
I I haven't paid enough attention. I know that there's some younger woman between 20s to 30s, which regardless is way younger than him. But the younger you get, the more interesting it becomes. So
Uh, well, until it becomes weird, and
yeah,
you could
yeah,
honestly, you know,
or
there's a
illegal.
conversation to be made if it's already weird, but
Yeah.
I do see Frank in the chat. Frank, what are the Raiders doing, man? Who do they think they are? Who do the Las Vegas Raiders think they are? No, and I
Yeah.
do want to say this. I don't think that, like you mentioned, Mike, a team isn't just going to outright tank. You know, they're not just going to like roll over and die.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I mean, no, the thing with tanking is for somebody to tank, they have to have assurances of like, you're not going to get punished for losing, because this is a winning league. This is a win now league. What have you done for me lately? Jobs, right? I mean, Isaiah Pull hero of the game. He led the team in tackles, 2 forced fumbles. Amazing game. What is the point of Isaiah Polamalu going out there and saying, fuck it, we're tanking? What's the point? He could lose his job. He could
yeah.
he could dwindle back to being a backup when he's trying to prove that he's a starting safety in this league right now. And frankly, he looks like he is. Same for Javon Merrick and every other player on the field, and also Antonio Pierce as a coach. Right.
Mhm.
2 things I want to talk about. Post game press conference. Somebody asked Antonio Pierce, like, what is your message to the fans, or what would you say to the fans who want the Raiders to lose right now? And he
Yeah.
said, talk to Tom Telesco.
That I don't know. That's not a.
It's a
That's
weird
not.
it's a weird answer.
It's not a good answer. You know,
Yeah.
I feel like the appropriate answer for that is, you know, I just want to assure the fans, that we're gonna have the organization, going in the right direction. We want, essentially this win reestablishes. I mean, we're trying to win every game. Is I would say
Uh,
like
yeah.
we go out there, we fight the entire game and try to win every single game. It's nothing different. Like just fluff it up,
Yeah, just do
sell
that.
it to the fans instead of
Yeah.
go talk to Tom Telesco, because now
Yeah.
it's like it was just weird. It's a weird answer.
It's a weird answer, and honestly, I don't know if I'm like reading too far into the lines or something, but just a week ago, Mark Davis was asked about, the job security or whatnot of Antonio Pierce and Tom Telesco, and he clearly drew a line between the two of them of like, when asked about Antonio Pierce, it's like, yeah, I'm disappointed. And then when asked about Tom Telesco, it was like, maybe not directly asked about Tom Telesco, but like when asked about the team and like moving forward and stuff, he's like, well, that's a lot of stuff for Tom Telesco to decide, as if to say, well, as far as repercussions for this season, I'm really disappointed in Antonio Pierce as a head coach. But, looking forward to next year, like, that's really stuff for Tom Telesco to do. In other words, Antonio Pierce is probably gone, whereas Tom Telesco is staying. That's kind of reading between the lines of what Mark Davis is saying, what it sounds like. Is it for sure true? I have no idea. He he could still make that decision in 2 weeks from now. It's not to say that that decision's made right now. It really probably shouldn't be. It's just something that is a flowing thing right now, right? It's still fluid. But then I look at Antonio Pierce's answer, of like talk to Tom Telesco, and when thinking about that answer for Mark Davis, I just wonder if Antonio Pierce is like, yeah, I'm getting fucking fired and I'm going out like Lovie Smith, of like, I'm not getting the Texans that first pick. We're going to win this final game and get the second pick, which actually, in theory, worked out better for the Texans. But going from the first pick to the sixth pick really fucking blows for the Raiders, right? And I guess the way that Pierce answered that to me feels like there's a disconnect. Maybe he simply meant it as in, you want to ask me about, what's better for this team, winning or losing. And like specifically, actually, if you want to ask me about a draft picks spot, that's not for me to worry about. That's for Tom Telesco. I'm the head coach.
Yeah.
I'm here to win. That should be his answer.
Yeah.
But instead, I'm reading between the lines and I'm like, damn, there might be a disconnect. Is he kind of being petty? What's going on? But I think what I just said is probably what's going on.
We're probably reading a little bit too much into it, but I mean, he absolutely just did like deflect the question,
Right.
like completely dodge the question. It's like, it was
Coaches do that all the time.
Wasn't the question something along the lines of like, what would you say to fans?
Yeah, who want the higher draft pick.
Yeah.
Who want to lose to get the higher draft pick. Talk to Tom Telesco. It's like, well,
I don't know. That's to
you
me.
Could have answered better.
Yeah, he could have answered it better.
Yeah. And then the other thing that I will say is post game in the locker room, Mark Davis was in there celebrating with the team. Happy, smiles all abound. Everybody's happy about the win. And the media is making that out. I don't know if it's just to annoy the fans of like, we all know the fans want to lose. They want that first pick because, you can pick your guy. And hey, if we don't like the quarterbacks, we could trade back and get a ransom. And we could make damn well sure that we have the first pick next year if we tried. I don't know if that's true, but, it just seems like even it's interesting that even Mark Davis is like, hell yeah, we won, which I get it, like just win, baby. But like, I don't know. I don't know what my point is, I guess, other than just most of us fans are sitting here like, man, what the fuck? Like, what a useless fucking win. Who gives a shit? Like every time I would get notifications on Twitter from the Raiders if they scored a touchdown, if they got a first down, if they got a stop on defense, a forced fumble recovered by Trevon Merrick, whatever, and they'd be like, this is little shit for me, like little kind of petty thing, but like every time they would tweet something like positive, like hell yeah, like moving the chains, or like defense gets the stop, or just something positive, I was like, fuck off, like suck my dick. I don't give a fuck right now. You guys suck. I hope you lose. Like
you need to give him like a Bill Romanowski, sort of
suck.
Yeah.
Your ass.
Yeah. Yeah. This team's ass. Everyone in there is ass. They can't even lose right.
Yeah. Like I understand their media team has a job to do, but like the last thing I want right now is this fake fucking positivity from the team. Like winning this game is the worst thing possible. I don't care what anybody fucking says.
Yeah. Like right now, all right, I do also understand a team does have to win this game, So like at the end of the day, there's got to be a winner unless they tie, but that's so rare in the NFL for teams to just tie.
Yeah.
But I bet you Jaguars fans are elated.
Right. They have a better chance at Travis Hunter now.
Yep.
So
real quick, I will get to comments, but I do want to bring up a couple tweets that I shared to you specifically on the silver and gold thing. Hold on. Let me pull up the tweet. This is from @TheNation. And it's Shedeur Sanders with the Raider background. And It's the Wolverine meme.
Yeah.
We did. Yeah, I liked that one. And then this is from @Adrian. Raiders ruining tank. AOC starting quarterback week 1, 2025. Another bust at pick 10. No bitches. Poverty team forever. 0 playoff wins in my lifetime. And it's just Devontae Adams. Like
I retweeted it. That is my life. That's my life as a Raider fan. Is just consistent depression. Thank you very much.
I'm so sorry. Let's talk to one of our more loyal Raider fans, in the comments section. We do have a couple. I don't want to, bash on anybody who's not presently here. But, Frank's here today. He says the fastest way to get competitive is a veteran quarterback.
Absolutely. Davis, I want to touch on that when we're done with these comments.
Yeah. Davis, Madden, Flores, Blanda, Stabler, Plunkett, Allen, none of them would have ever tanked. Here's the difference.
They were good.
They were good. Yeah. Yep. See, they were good.
Yep.
So, literally, Mike, we didn't even talk about this, but we had the same thought.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what Frank is saying 1,000%. Granted, I don't think Daniel Jones would never tank. What's the Giants head coach's name? Brian Daboll. He would never tank. But they suck. Nobody's going to tank. Brian Flores was literally asked with hush money to tank, and he's like, "Fuck you, suck my dick. I'm not tanking. What do you think? I'm stupid? Nobody's going to tank."
I forgot about that.
Yeah. Oh, everybody did. Now he's the best defensive coordinator in football for the Vikings.
Yeah, Brian Flores is really good. He might be the head coach of the Raiders next year, although I think they should go offensive.
Yeah, but he would be one of the options for me that I'd be down for, specifically as a defensive-minded coach.
Yeah. Frank Weber says, I don't think Mark Davis knows what he is doing, or maybe making money is more important than winning. I don't know. I did think that, and I did want to touch on that. Like, Mark Davis is happy in the locker room because, like, all right, his players are obviously happy that they won a game. Like, it feels good to win a football game. I'll say that. Like, there's a human aspect to it. But at the end of the day, Mark Davis is making money. He's running a business. Who knows? Maybe there's a kid in the stands who just went to his first Raider game, and the Raiders won, and now he is a lifelong fan. Because, Mike, the Raiders have been bad, and your first Raider game was during a season where the Raiders were bad, and Zach Miller caught that long pass, for a touchdown, and you were hooked for life, right?
Yep.
Now you're in this shithole. So whatever kid was in the stands today, Mark Davis just lured you in with another meaningless win that set the franchise that maybe set the franchise back. I mean, it typically tends to sway that way with like the loss of or like winning meaningless games to miss out on. This year would have been Jaden Daniels. Look at Jaden Daniels, 5 touchdowns today. Look at Jaden Daniels clinching a playoff spot, or at least I think clinching a playoff spot. I don't know if they clinched so much as if the Niners are just out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either way.
I think they might need to win one more. Let me look that up.
Yeah. As far as Mark Davis, I mean, I have always been of the belief that Mark Davis cares, and Mark Davis wants nothing more than to win, than for the Raiders to win,
Uh-huh.
But also, his actions certainly do show, as far as the franchise goes, that, he also cares about the financial and, how would you say, not marketing, but
business.
Yeah, the business aspects of it, the logistics or whatnot. Moving the team to Vegas, like, very good move for his pocketbook, right? just those sort like dating back to when he was trying to move out of the stadium in Oakland or to get a new one done in like no matter what, a new stadium. That's what mattered, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, like first when Al Davis first died, it was get the GM, Reggie McKenzie, and then they got the head coach, a young guy, right? Unproven, cheap. And then you got a more experienced guy in Jack Del Rio, hometown guy, probably cost a bit more than Dennis Allen. And then eventually John Gruden becomes available and he breaks the fucking bank for him, right? And then eventually he breaks the bank again for Josh McDaniels. Like, they were not the right choices in hindsight, obviously. But the action tells me in how much he spent on those coaches and the pedigree that they brought with them shows that he cares, because that money that is being spent on those coaches isn't like we should really search it up. I shouldn't talk out of my ass here, but I'm pretty sure that's his money that he's paying. At the very least, it's like the franchise's money, not the salary cap money, like the money that he's spending on the head coaches. There's a reason why you can pay. There's no salary cap to it. There's no, set market to paying a coach. It's whatever you guys come to an agreement of. There's a reason for that.
Yeah, it comes out of Mark Davis's pocket.
Yeah, so the fact that he's
at least the majority
astronomical,
of it.
Yeah, so the fact that he's paying astronomical amounts for those coaches tells me he gives a fuck. He wants to win. But at the same time, as far as money moves, he just recently sold north of 15% stake of the franchise. What the reasoning is, I'm not sure. Obviously, the Tom Brady selling, has some solid reasoning to it, but the other 15%, why did he do it? Other than to have more money.
This is why he did it. I mean, there's only one Tom Brady, right? And if you can get Tom Brady to be tied to the Raiders for essentially life, or at least as long as Tom Brady holds that share of the Raiders. So he cut out 15% of his pie, but whatever remaining is left for Mark Davis, the pie might grow. Obviously, like the thought is that, like let's just say the Raiders right now are a grape, right? And Mark Davis had what percentage before he sold to Tom Brady?
I'm not sure, but the 15% is separate than the Tom Brady selling. I'm saying he sold more than just the Tom Brady stake. As long as he has 51%, he's in control. The value is only going to go up for the Raiders, in part because they're in Vegas, right? And in part because of the NFL, all that shit. I'm just saying he didn't have to sell that other 15%. Like the Tom Brady selling, it makes sense because you're getting a big asset in return in Tom Brady. Boom, period. Shedeur Sanders just immediately the top pick wants to come to your team because you have that guy, in theory. That's huge. He can help develop whatever quarterbacks you have. That's huge. This all-time winningest quarterback can help your franchise and point, whatever in different directions. That's huge. The other 15% stakes that he sold, why? Other than to immediately make money, to have more money in the bank, right? That I'm just answering. I'm just responding.
Yeah.
That was my point to that.
Yeah.
Money being more important, or does he do that to pay for the next head coach? I don't know.
Did he sell that other 15% before Brady or after?
I actually don't even think it's final yet, but I was just looking at the article. It didn't even say how much he was getting for it, but it was in November, so it's recent.
Yeah, so just to kind of finish up my point, let's just say, for example, this isn't the number percentage that Mark Davis had, but let's just say the example is 66, right? Mark Davis had 66. I already did the math. Mark Davis had 66% of a grape, right? And selling the 15% of that grape to Tom Brady gives it a better opportunity for that grape to turn into a watermelon. Now he would have 51% of a watermelon, which is more than 66% of a grape.
Yeah. No, yeah. I like that. Yeah. Uh, yeah. I mean, if Tom Brady can come in and help them win a Super Bowl, the value is only going to go up. So, yeah, I agree. Very good point.
Frank says, I can imagine some coach trying to tell Tatum and Atkinson to tank.
Yeah, good luck. Good luck. Or any of those guys back then. I mean, Jim Otto, no. Yeah. Any of the linebackers, Villapiano, good luck. Okay, so his first comment that we touched on, bringing in a veteran quarterback will help, to get competitive. Can we pull up the list of upcoming free agents, please?
Yes. Okay. Upcoming NFL free agents.
Because I'm sure this is going to just excite the hell out of me.
Do you want me to sort it by position? Specifically quarterback?
Yeah, I just want quarterback, please. And of course, there will be quarterbacks that might get cut. That won't be on this list. But the headliner is Sam Darnold. That's already a problem. And maybe there's other guys that are down this list, but it looks like, the previous average being spent. So the best we can get is Sam Darnold or Kirk Cousins, because he's going to get cut apparently, because I don't think his contract is tradable. Or hey, we could get Joe Flacco or Jameis Winston or Mac Jones. That's great. We're going to win a lot of games next year. There you go. Let's bring him back. But yeah, I mean, really, for one thing, we've kind of talked about already, but like, my personal opinion, I don't think the Vikings should let Sam Darnold leave. They're too good, and I think they could treat their franchise like the Packers have treated their franchise in years past of, they draft the QB high and they let him develop on the bench. And if you're winning, it ain't broke, don't fix it, So, like, they should keep Sam Darnold. And I think for Sam Darnold, who wants to make his career a career as a starter, not a backup anymore, that makes the most sense for him too. If he can get a good deal with the Vikings, he should take it. He should take less money with the Vikings than, honestly, the Raiders, depending on who their coach is,
Because, I mean, the thought process behind him taking less money with the Vikings is that if he continues to be, the starter and they're still successful, there's a higher chance that he will get another contract with the Vikings.
Yeah, he's only 27 and a half, so he can sign a 2-year deal. Right now he's averaging $10 million per year. He could jump up to, I'm trying to remember the list we had last week of the quarterback salaries, but let's say he gets up to $40 million per year. Maybe some of that is incentivized, right? So maybe it's more like 30 to 35 base with up to 40 million total in incentives per year. On a 2-year deal, so he can come out of free agency still under 30 years old. And if he nails it those 2 seasons with the Vikings, he's Baker Mayfield all over again.
Mm-hmm.
Just get paid.
Okay.
But that's it. As far as this list, I don't want Kirk Cousins. I do not want Kirk Cousins. Who else is there? There's nobody.
Well, Kirk Cousins is not on this list. I'll tell you the quarterbacks that the Raiders should be interested in from this list. The Raiders should look, obviously, at Sam Darnold. I think it's worth looking into Zach Wilson because just for the sole purpose that the Jets arguably were better with Zach Wilson last year than they were with Aaron Rodgers this year. You know what I mean? Like, maybe something can be said about Zach Wilson and the Jets. Like, the Jets are just a poorly ran organization. Look at Sam Darnold. If you put him in the right situation, maybe there could be something there. Not saying Zach Wilson is candidate number one. No, candidate number one is Russell Wilson down here, free agent. That's
Okay,
candidate.
that makes sense because obviously he's $1 million. He's way down there. Yeah. But that's another team that shouldn't let the quarterback walk. Like the way the Steelers have played, they need to re-sign him.
Yeah.
And if I'm him, I'm staying with them at all costs because I'm playing good finally.
So another one, I'm less interested than the Zach Wilson, experiment. I still think like maybe there is something maybe still there with Trey Lance. Maybe not as the starter, but imagine if you put him in like the Taysom Hill role and the Raiders get their own Taysom Hill.
Mm.
That could work.
I
And he
mean,
could be the backup quarterback.
Yeah.
Or a backup, like an emergency. Well, if he's an emergency, he can't be Taysom Hill. But Trey Lance can be used, in my opinion. He's not nothing. There is something there, I think. But it's just inconsistent. And, honestly, Lance should go to the Panthers. That's the perfect spot for him. Pair him with Dave Canales. Bryce Young is clearly the starter there.
Yeah. If the Lions didn't have Hooker, I would say the Lions would be perfect for Trey Lance. But I'm not opposed to Trey Lance. It's just chances are
he's not going to win games immediately.
He's not going to. Yeah, he shouldn't be a starter. Zach Wilson, I feel pretty much the same way about. It's just their decision making, their lack of it. Which leads me to guys more like, I guess Jameis Winston, and even his decision making isn't the best either, but he can at least like Brock Bowers would be well fed with Jameis Winston.
It's Russell Wilson who is going to re-sign with the Steelers. He's I think that's kind of inevitable. I don't think they're going to move on from him unless like things get bad. But
yeah,
that should be one of the top candidates. And then I like Jameis, but he turns the ball over too much. You're not going to be a serious winner. You were gonna throw so many touchdowns. Brock Bowers will be maximized, but the defense will be on the field a lot when Jameis throws those interceptions.
Depending on who the coach. Go ahead.
Sorry. I like the idea of Mac Jones. I don't think Mac Jones is nothing either. I didn't want the Niners to pick him at third overall because I felt like it was stupid to trade up 3 firsts and a third to pick Mac Jones, who might have fallen to them anyway.
Mac Jones, starting quarterback for the Raiders. That just pisses me off. I'm looking at this list, and the guy that I didn't notice until just now that I think is the best option, not
Joe
named.
Flacco?
No, it's the guy above him, Justin Fields. Not named Sam Darnold or Russell Wilson. Depending on who the coach is running the offense for the Raiders, Justin Fields is the best option they have in free agency because at least he can be multiple. You can be mobile, right?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe he can be coached right to where he can actually, lead an offense. I mean, I think he still has potential, I'd say he's probably at this point more expensive than like a Trey Lance or something, but I think if you want a guy from this free agency class that you can list as a starter for a year and like not be completely laughed at and be able to win some games, it's probably him. Which maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we should just go with Mac Jones and just lose as much as possible. But I don't know. Justin Fields would be the best guy other than the other two obvious starters.
Mm-hmm.
Not named Kirk Cousins, but I think I would rather have Fields than Cousins, honestly.
You would rather have Fields than yeah. Well,
Not only because I think Cousins is
no.
washed, but also because Cousins is going to demand more money. Oh, that's not true. That's actually, you know what? Damn.
Look at Russell Wilson.
He'll be this year's Russell Wilson, next year's. He's going to, because the Falcons will be paying his contract. He will take a base salary like Russell Wilson is. So he'll be a steal.
No,
So
well, I don't think it'll be the exact same. I think whoever takes on Cousins' contract is going to have to be responsible. I think the number was like 27 million.
not if he's cut.
Not if he's cut.
If you trade for him, yes. But if the Adam Schefter came out like Saturday was like the Falcons will probably cut him because he has a $10 million incentive due in March. It's the same thing as Derek Carr for the Raiders a couple years ago. They'll cut him.
Well, you're looking at the next quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers, Kirk Cousins.
Maybe.
It'll probably, you're looking at, it took Shanahan 9 years to finally go with plan A, but
hey, you know what? This podcast is going to be electric when Kirk Cousins signs with the 49ers for $1 million. And then breaking news, the Raiders have traded their second round pick and next year's first round pick for Brock Purdy.
Man,
and then they use their first round pick to get like the best receiver.
Or they use their first round pick to get the next quarterback. No.
I don't know. I mean, at that point, you're probably just banking on Brock.
Dude, honestly, I would take Kirk Cousins for this, this amount over Brock Purdy for $60 million.
Right. For
even if Kirk is washed.
Right. I don't blame you.
It's bang for your buck. You know what I mean? It's like,
hey, and Purdy would be ecstatic because he'd have no state income tax.
Oh, I'm not talking about the Raiders. I'm talking about,
I'm just saying that trade scenario.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the trade scenario, but yeah, let's see. Other quarterbacks that stand out to me on this list, Joe Flacco, I think, has shown he can step in and, contribute. He was not necessarily great for Indy, but he was great for the Browns last year. Started a playoff game. Andy Dalton he's kind of up there in age. So he started off hot this year and then just completely cooled off. He's going to be, he should retire, I think. And Carson Wentz is another quarterback that stands out, but the offense is just going to be very, it's going to be hard to watch, I think.
Yeah.
Like Carson Wentz, you might as well just have Gardner Minshew.
I would honestly rather have Cooper Rush than most of those guys you just named.
Yeah, and then Cooper Rush was going to be the last player that I was going to name. Unless you want Jimmy Garoppolo back, it would be like a nice reunion. It's like Antonio Pierce was winning games when Garoppolo was technically still on the roster. So, Jimmy G just wins games. How many years did I have to hear that as a 49er fan?
Yeah, they had like 6 wins or something, maybe less, back when they benched him. So, that's already better than this season. Yeah.
They didn't have 6 wins.
Probably not. It might have been week 6 or some shit. I don't remember, but I'm just pulling.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Frank says enough draft capital might open up some availability.
For what?
Yeah. Could you clarify that for us, Frank? You guys are right. There isn't much on that list. Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to put down your comment. It's like I agreed with your point of like if you get the right veteran, hey, if Derek Carr gets cut by the Saints, I'd take Derek Carr back over, forcing a quarterback at 6th overall or something,
You know what? That's going to happen. Carr's going to get cut by the Saints, and he's going to come back to the Raiders.
Wouldn't that be something, man?
And then the Raiders
and
are
at
going
that point, they're going to hire John Gruden and everything. Fuck.
the Raiders are going to pass on a quarterback, and they're going to take Alex Leatherwood again. No.
Yeah. Okay. While Frank is hopefully clarifying in the comments, I watched a YouTube video. I'm not gonna talk massive shit here or anything, but I watched a YouTube video of this guy who was kind of giving options, just early options. He kind of made it clear this isn't a serious, super serious list, but just off the top of the dome, here are some options for the Raiders at coach. If they were to decide to not run it back with Antonio Pierce. And one of the guys he mentioned was John Gruden. You want to know what I will do if, they hire John Gruden as their head coach again?
What will you do? Okay, well, there goes Mike. All right, one thing I will say, I like John Gruden. I plan on telling Mike when he comes back, but I do really like John Gruden. It would just be. Could you imagine if they paired Tom Telesco to John Gruden? And they actually let Telesco make the first, second, and third round picks. It might actually work.
Yeah, possibly. It's just I had this conversation with my dad at the dinner table, and he was a big, and still is. He was a big Jim Harbaugh truther of that's who you need to get for the head coach, right?
Yep.
And you were the same. I don't blame either of you.
Yeah,
right?
The smart ones were.
Obviously. Yeah. In hindsight, obviously that was the right move. Kidding. In hindsight, interim coaches, they just don't work. Let's be honest. Not long term, So
Jim Harbaugh, funny enough, was an interim coach for the 49ers. They fired Mike Singletary, and Jim Harbaugh took over when they fired Mike Singletary. I'm pretty sure
at Stanford.
He was at Stanford. Hold on. Let me get there. It might have been Jim Thompson. Oh, all right, hold on. 2010 49ers season
interim
head coach. Interim head coach. Let me get this right. Oh no, it was Jim Tomsula. Sorry.
Okay.
And then they hired Harbaugh.
Yeah. Okay. So,
and then they hired Tomsula.
Yeah, that's weird.
And you know what? All right, hold on. 49ers 2020 or 2014, 2015 season. The 49ers 2015 record was where are the standings? They were 5-11. Just one less win than they have this year.
Huh.
So hey, bring back Tom Sula, huh? A third time's a charm. What were you gonna say, Mike? Sorry.
I had this thought that I'm gonna come off like I'm a John Gruden hater. I'm not. I love all the content we're getting lately with him with Barstool and stuff. It's hilarious, and he deserves, I think, that second chance after everything that happened.
Yeah.
And hey, he deserves to be in the NFL. He deserves to be a coach. I just don't think he should be a head coach. I don't think he's that guy anymore. I think he should be a quarterback coach. That's what I think. Or a senior offensive assistant, one of the two. He should not be a coordinator. He should not be a head coach. Maybe coordinator, but probably not. I just don't believe in it that much. Point being,
how would you feel if he was the coordinator for the Chiefs? Because of the connection with Andy Reid.
Oh, that would make a lot of sense, actually, because Andy Reid would still be the main coordinator, but they would work together. Oh, that'd be brilliant for them, honestly. That'd make a lot of sense.
And he'd be like, hey, Andy.
Yeah. Like that play, huh?
Yeah, that story that he told.
Yeah, that was great. John Gruden, how do I word this? I think to Mark Davis, he thought when he hired John Gruden that John Gruden was what Jim Harbaugh is. Does that make sense? He's the older, maybe a little old school, offensive minded coach who you think is going to be so great because he used to be so great. But John Gruden is not current. Like he did not, it didn't work. It was and you could have conversations about the offensive coordinator for the Chargers. Like Jim Harbaugh's not the play caller, it's the what's his name?
It's Greg Roman.
Greg Roman. So I mean it's a little different, but even as a head coach, like it's clear in a way Jim Harbaugh is a better head coach. And as far as like the offenses, like I just think Gruden's was not as it didn't work so well in today's NFL, and he was kind of keeping it old school, and going with his own flavor. Whereas Jim Harbaugh like just gets it a little bit more. Like it's just older offensive mind. Like Mark Davis hoped that Gruden could be what Jim Harbaugh is, Not that
I
he was
still think
comparing the two, but
I still think like if you give John Gruden the right tools, I think that was the issue with Gruden is that he would like shoot himself in the foot by taking the wrong players early in drafts, and then
draft.
so he
Yeah.
wouldn't have the tools that he needed to actually cook,
Yeah.
and then he got canceled before the season where they actually made the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't want to fully shit on him. He's a great, he has that great offensive mind. Maybe you're more right than me. Like, all of his defenses were god awful, you know? He had Derek Carr playing pretty damn good football for the most part. Not completely consistent, but pretty good. And I'd say he consistently got better with Gruden. But yeah, it was the drafting that was an issue, and the defense being as bad as it was did not help him or Derek Carr, And then, at the end of his tenure, you had the Henry Ruggs thing and all that, and the failed attempt at Antonio Brown, like it was like, I think you're right. And like, if he had it perfectly set up for him, it would work, a la the Buccaneers, That's always been like the negative, like backhanded compliment to him. Well, it's not a compliment. Most people would say it pretty backhandedly of like, oh, you won with Dungy's team, which I was
Yeah.
always like, that's kind of fucked up, but whatever,
Yes.
But I mean, but look at
That's
how
my
it went with
point.
Raiders. He couldn't draft well.
So what they need to do, the Raiders need to build and keep Antonio Pierce and let Antonio Pierce build the morale, even though they're losing. Get all these draft picks, and then when they, when it's like, all right, we have the right core. Fire whoever it is who's the head coach, maybe Antonio Pierce. Hire John Gruden. I mean, that's what they did. That's what they did with
Oh, yeah.
Jack Del Rio.
Yep.
And then, Mark Davis just, all right, Gruden, you're going to be the head coach, but you are not making personnel decisions. We're going to have guys for that. We just want you to coach the games.
Yep.
We want you to call plays, but we do not, if you think about calling the general manager, if you even so think, you're out of here. You're out of here, okay? The general manager is going to be a collection of Tom Telesco, Tom Brady, and Tony Dungy. They're going to assemble this team for you, and we're going to win a Super Bowl.
Yep.
No, I don't know. I think what I like about Gruden is like he comes from, I think, the right coaching tree in the NFL, where like, he coached under Holmgren, and Holmgren was like, I think a Bill Walsh, sort of disciple. Like Bill Walsh came up under, Holmgren came up under Bill Walsh, that kind of thing.
Yep.
So it's like John Gruden even has a video on his YouTube channel, and it's like the thumbnail is "I stole the playbook from Joe Montana," and I'm just like, well, at least John Gruden knows the right place to look, right?
Yeah.
So I definitely think like he has the personality, he's got the football knowledge. It's just when it comes to evaluating talent, that's not his strong suit.
Yeah. Yeah, he would need a good GM to be paired with, which I am optimistic about Tom Telesco, but I don't know for sure,
And
But
I think Gruden is a little arrogant.
Oh yeah.
I think
For
he's
sure.
just he's a little arrogant to his demise, where he, like, we saw it with that Andy Reid, like that story about like him and Andy Reid coaching under Holmgren, and like, having the plays, like he wanted to have the the best plays, and like, to see them run in a game, like he wanted his plays to be the more successful ones. And he called Andy Reid kind of a coach's pet. Obviously he loves Andy Reid,
Right.
but like that was kind of like his coaching rival a little bit. But I mean, when drafting Leatherwood was such a bad pick, drafting Farrell was such a bad pick, like
Damon Arnett.
And maybe he just like gets these ideas, and then wants these players, because of the way that it works in his mind. I mean, for all I know, that's like a Mike Mayock thing. Or that was a Mike Mayock thing, and like Mayock might not have been cut out for the job either, and like that didn't help. But
I think, to your point, Henry Ruggs, I'm convinced, was picked. I think most people know this. Like, he was picked because of his insane speed, but he was picked above CeeDee Lamb, and not many people were thinking this at the time, but also Justin fucking Jefferson.
Yep.
It's like the reason I was so mad. I wanted CeeDee Lamb so bad. He was always my guy from like that. It's like every year I have a guy, and it ends up being like the fucking best player in the draft. Obviously, Justin Jefferson was in that draft, but still, unless I'm missing somebody. But point being, I wanted a bona fide number one receiver because we hadn't had that since Amari Cooper, who John Gruden traded. And CeeDee Lamb to me was that one guy that was like clearing away. He is a number one receiver in the NFL. And no, let's go for the speedster. Let's go for the one trick pony, And granted, like, no disrespect to Henry Ruggs, he actually, unfucking fortunately, the year where everything happened with him and he was, no longer in the league, he started really coming on. Like, he was killing corners.
Mm-hmm.
I was like becoming very impressed with Henry Ruggs. Like, I thought, oh my gosh, we might actually have something here, guys. And then everything happened there,
Yeah. They passed. Here are a couple names of players that they passed on that would have made a bigger difference on the Raiders, I think, than Henry Ruggs. So obviously you mentioned CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson. That goes without saying. But Tristan Wirfs literally went with the next pick, and that would have been huge. To have him at right tackle. To pair with, they already had Josh Jacobs at that point, right?
Yep.
You pair Josh Jacobs with a good offensive line. Let's see. Raiders could have had Jalen Reagor. No, just kidding. No. Jordan Love, I think, did benefit from sitting behind Rodgers. So I'm not going to say Jordan Love, but I definitely will say Patrick Queen. Patrick Queen
Yeah.
would have done wonders, I think, for the Raiders. I think he's a great linebacker.
Yeah, I want to say the cornerback for the Bears. Damn it, I'm forgetting his name, but I want to say he went. Forgetting his name. I feel like it has an A in his name, but I don't know. But there's a corner for the Bears that went in like early second round. That's who I wanted instead of Damon Arnett. Forgetting his name.
Here, let me see. Rounds second. You said second round.
Bears.
Okay, look, 2020, right? Second round for the Bears. I feel like I know who it is. Jalen Johnson.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, Jalen Johnson. That's exactly who I was thinking of, but I just wanted to make sure it was the right player.
Yep. Anyway, I mean that's a whole tangent, just John Gruden talk. We'll I think get more into coaching candidates for the Raiders soon. But the whole point to all of that was just there's no way that John Gruden is an option, in my opinion. Like he ran his course for his time. In my opinion, you need to go for the younger offensive minds. If you want to go for a Vrabel or the Vikings defense coordinator, why am I forgetting his name? Cool, but my personal opinion is you need
Brian Flores.
Brian Flores. My personal opinion is you need to go for the next Kevin O'Connell. You need to go for the next young offensive mind coming out of the proper coaching tree who can just lead the offense and coach a quarterback. Sam Darnold, who gives a shit? 13-3. Thank you. I don't care who the quarterback is. Because of my coach, because he's so damn good, we're going to win. I mean, Justin Herbert's great, but Jim Harbaugh, right? Like everywhere he goes, he wins. That's what we need. And you can't guarantee that a young head coach is going to do that. A first-time head coach like a Ben Johnson or the Bills offensive coordinator, there's no guarantee that they're going to be great head coaches. They might not be cut out for it. But fuck it. We need a guy who can coach the quarterback. And usually it feels like these young offensive minds come in and they know what to do because they know how the league works. They know how to beat the defenses, Matt LaFleur.
Dude, who's going to be the Raiders head coach next year who could be if they draft a quarterback?
Who could be good if they draft a quarterback or what?
No, who could be the Raiders head coach if they draft a quarterback?
Oh, I see. Deion Sanders.
No. Well, he could be, but I
hope not.
I don't know. Yeah. Cliff Kingsbury, didn't come as an offensive coordinator, but could you imagine if the Raiders offered him a head coaching position if they had a premium draft pick to select a quarterback? Look at what he's done with Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, and a running game that a lot of people wrote off. Yeah, I could see it. Because
that was the Raiders' top choice. But you know what? It's not going to happen if they still have Telesco and they still have it'll rub them, I think, the wrong way that he backed out, and just out of pride, they're not gonna give it to him. So I actually take that back. But
it's not the worst idea.
Yeah. Brandon says, how did the Raiders ruin the tank? They
wanted to be
It
heroes.
happens every year. It happens every year. What did you say, Mike?
They wanted to be heroes, Aiden O'Connell, Amir Abdullah, Isaiah Polamau. They wanted to be heroes today. No, I mean, again, as much as we would like them to tank, they're not going to, and hey, I picked the Raiders to win this game because I fully believe the Jaguars, part of this is because I'm mad at them for losing to the Raiders, but I think they're just trash. They're garbage. You know, they are a
Mhm.
poor excuse for an organization. Shout out to the Jaguars for fucking me up. But yeah, I just, the Jags are not a good team right now. So it
Yeah,
doesn't
so
shock me.
since you mentioned that you picked the Raiders to win, I just wanted to quickly give an update. I picked the Jaguars to win because I had a feeling that the Raiders were going to win, and I knew that if I was wrong, this would say 9-11, which this is the Raiders 9-11 for their draft stock,
There you go.
because they will be picking eventually from draft spot 9 to 11. No, I'm just kidding. Frank says the Raiders might trade draft capital for the right quarterback, but I like your Carr idea better. In terms of him clarifying this, enough draft capital might open up some availability.
Gotcha.
So
Right. Yeah.
them, trading draft capital.
Yeah. And it's, I mean, that's another thing going back to like the whole Antonio Pierce thing, talk to Tom Telesco. Like, maybe the reason why everybody's smiling is because who cares? We can trade up if we have a quarterback that we like. Like, we just want to win. Okay, but like, I don't want to trade up. I don't want to trade capital. But yes, the Raiders have the capital to trade. Hey, they picked up a 3rd round pick for Devontae Adams, so you could throw a 3rd rounder, the 6th overall pick, next year's 1st round pick. That probably gets you from 6 to 3, maybe even 8 to 3, but probably not. I don't know.
Question: so if Derek Carr went to the Raiders again, and reunited there,
Yep.
and Aaron Rodgers leaves the Jets, or it's like kind of unclear what he's going to do. What if Devontae Adams wants to pair up with Derek Carr?
Well, he better force the Jets to cut him. That's what he better fucking do, motherfucker.
Enough draft picks.
Yeah.
Frank says,
"Hey, I like Devontae, so."
Yeah, Frank says, "I like Gruden too, but isn't he still damaged goods?"
I mean, it would be such bad PR. It'd be such bad PR to hire him back.
I don't know, dude. I think like people don't care anymore. It's like, what are they gonna do? Cancel him again? Like they already canceled him. Like, what are there more emails that we don't know about that are just even worse?
Yeah, no, it's the diehard football fans are gonna be like, did DeMaurice Smith die?
I don't know.
No, I'm not asking. They would be asking, like, well, what happened to him? Because wasn't he the guy that John Gruden was saying all the shit about in the emails?
Yeah, but like, dude, people move on. People make mistakes. Like,
yeah.
Like,
again, I hope everybody just kind of moves on from it and kind of forgives Gruden, because it's. Yeah.
Let's see. I will get to Anthony's comment in a second, but first, Frank says both Gruden or Del Rio would both be a considerable improvement from where we are. I don't know about Del Rio.
You know what?
Well, actually, the bar
Del Rio might actually be worse PR than fucking Gruden. I'm pretty sure Del Rio has been saying some stupid shit in the.
Well, no, dude, the freaking footage of him getting arrested. It wasn't body cam footage. It was like footage in the back of a cop car, which, it's funny. Recently, I saw the Del Rio video, and then I saw the Patrick Mahomes Sr. video. The Mahomes Sr. video I just saw literally like a couple hours ago, but he was like, he was just so entitled of like, my son is the quarterback of the Chiefs. He does not need this right now. You can't do this to him. And it's like, it was hella funny because he was like, I'm not drunk. I have had drinks, and I probably, if you tested me, I wouldn't pass it. Like dude's clearly drunk. Like only a drunk
I'm
person
not.
would say that.
Yeah, I'm not
I
drunk. I'm just inebriated.
yeah, he like said it. He like said it a couple times. He's like, I'm not drunk, but just so you know, I have had a couple drinks. Like that's how you know a person's drunk when they're like repeating themselves and like
I'm just gonna be honest. I'm not drunk, but I've definitely had a couple drinks.
Okay, it's one thing when somebody says it like once, but when they say it over and over, it's like, all right, dude's buzzed at minimum, but they're probably drunk.
Yeah.
But yeah, Del Rio had like I don't know if he pissed himself or like he was just like asking to go to the bathroom. I forget, but yeah, he had a DUI or something and he got arrested for it.
And immediately was fired from wherever the hell he was coaching.
I think it was the Saints.
Either the Saints or a college team, something. But
I think it was a college team. But
yeah, point being that can't happen. But I agree with what Frank is saying. I think they both would be better than Antonio Pierce right now. It's just my personal opinion is you have to get the hot, hip, offensive-minded coach who is probably very young. I think that's what you have to go for.
Like a Josh McDaniels.
No, he's not hip. He's not hip. He actually he's at the stage in his life where he's worried about hurting his hips. But I don't know, just these coaches that come in and immediately just are successful. O'Connell from the Vikings, LaFleur with the Packers, even I'm forgetting his name, but the Bengals head coach. I mean, they went to the fucking Super Bowl, right? What did it take? They got the quarterback, right? They got the first overall pick. But not for O'Connell. I mean, he's had shit luck with quarterback, kind of. But when they're actually healthy, 13 wins, right? Kirk Cousins, he had his best season under O'Connell. Now Sam Darnold, he looks like a Pro Bowler. That's what the Raiders need.
Has there been a first overall pick that has lived up to the hype as much as Joe Burrow has?
I'd say Cam Newton until he fell off.
Yeah. But like, dude, Joe Burrow, like, I mean, obviously hasn't won a Super Bowl yet, but like, Joe Burrow's badass. He's, he's very good. And he's like one of those quarterbacks, like, yeah, I know you do.
My fantasy team appreciates him.
The Bengals, man, they had that first overall pick. They picked Joe Burrow, and like, he has been the unquestioned guy since he got there. It's not like Bryce Young, things weren't smooth sailing. Caleb Williams right now, like there's even Bears fans. We've had a Bears fan here saying that Tyson Bagent is better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like,
yeah.
Joe Burrow has, I mean, yeah. Talk about franchise changing first overall picks. Anthony says, hold on. I think there's a more recent one saying kind of the same thing. Raiders won't tank, but they'll trade up in the draft. LOL. Make it make sense. Raiders gonna Raider.
Yeah, I mean, think about it this way. Imagine if the Raiders trade up to get a quarterback, and they're still the worst team in football. But they traded their pick from the next year's draft to get the quarterback. So now they can't pick anybody to get any fucking better the next year. So they're still the worst team in football. Oh my God.
You can see into the future, Mike. You can already see it. We can already see it now. But I do want to go back to this comment because I feel like these two comments are very, linked. It's the last sentence of Anthony's comment, Raiders gonna Raider. And then Gruden and Del Rio, it's both of them getting in trouble, whether it be by the law or being, suspended or whatever, or fired for, being canceled. You know what they say? It's you can take someone away from the Raiders, but you can't take the Raiders away from somebody.
Yeah. Yeah, man. They are true Raiders, that's for sure.
Or maybe
No,
true Chiefs. Maybe true Chiefs, because the Chiefs were the team getting into trouble this offseason, but
yeah.
yeah.
No, if the Raiders trade up for a quarterback and it doesn't work and then they don't have a first round pick the next year, or worse, they do the Trey Lance trade and like really, 3 first round picks, you will see me wearing NFL logos more often and less Raider logos. Like I'll just be Rob Lowe and I'll just be like, yeah, go Lions, go Bills, go NFL.
Dude,
just don't go Chiefs, honestly.
yeah, it's like the more I go in life, like, because obviously I'm a 49er fan, right? But it's like the more I've matured, the more I'd realized I'm just a football like I'm a Niner fan, but I just love football in general, to where I would say that I'm different from a fan who's just like, Brock Purdy's the best quarterback, Shanahan's the best coach, they're going to figure it out. The 49ers are, they're by far like the best team. They're the main character. No, I'm just like, I've kind of gotten to, the point of view where I want the 49ers to have the best everything. Like that's my team. That's who I'm loyal to. I want to see them do great things, but like when they're doing stuff that I don't entirely like, or like they're just not as good, I can still enjoy football as a whole. And
Yep.
like, seeing what Detroit is doing this year it's just great, because they have been waiting forever for that, and they're
Yep.
playing good football. Like it's genuinely fun to watch.
Yep. And the
Like
Bills.
whereas baseball, like I'm a Giants fan, but right now I am not a baseball fan, at least not MLB. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm an A's fan, but I don't hold that title anymore. I end baseball. We've had this conversation, but I'm over baseball until further notice. But I enjoy the San Francisco Giants ballpark so much that it might be them. It might be that team and that ballpark that keeps me in it. Like I can see it right now, and I'm not the type to switch teams, but I can see it right now. The avenue is so clear for me to be a Giants fan. It's not even funny. It's just a matter of, do I give a fuck about baseball, or do I just want to go to a game occasionally and enjoy whoever I go to the game with, probably get a hot dog or whatever, and just watch a game. But I don't give a fuck about the record. I don't care what the record is of the team they're playing. I don't care what the record is of the Dodgers or whoever's in their division. It's just, all right, I hope this is a fun game. I hope they hit a couple home runs and some funny shit happens.
Yeah.
That's probably what it'll be, because I don't care about the MLB.
Yeah. The MLB, oh my God, what a fall from grace. And then like really, this has been possibly the worst season. Yeah, like I know we're getting really off topic and we're gonna get to the Raiders Saints preview just after this like little baseball tangent here. This might be the worst season in baseball history, or at least especially in Bay Area baseball history, where not only did the Bay Area lose the Oakland Athletics, we lost, the Giants lost Orlando Cepeda and Willie Mays, like literally in the span of a couple days. I mean, all right. If we're talking baseball as a whole, like, Fernando Valenzuela passed away. The Dodgers won the World Series. Like, it's horrible. The World Series was Yankees Dodgers. What worse matchup could you have asked for? Right? Like,
yeah.
And then,
I never thought I would root for the Yankees in the World Series, and I was kind of rooting for them.
Yeah, dude. Literally those two teams have sucked away all of the fun. But can you blame the owners? It's not the owners' fault. It's the commissioner of baseball.
Yeah. Yep. It's the rules that they're allowed.
But literally the commissioner works for the owners. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're hired by the owners. So like literally it's collectively the owners as a whole. It's their fault, but the fact that there's no like salary cap or anything to like make them competitive, like it's just straight up, all right, it's a business, where it's almost as if they're playing for fun and then just making money off of it.
Yeah. I think if there were a salary cap in baseball dating back to like 2000, the A's would have won at least one World Series in my lifetime because their scouting department was so good. It's just
A
that they didn't
salary
have
cap
the
and a
money.
floor and a floor.
Yeah. Well, recently, yeah. I think I know what you mean there. Just
no. So like like if they imposed a salary cap in baseball right now, it would just be like, all right, the Dodgers can only spend this much, and then like everyone else, you can keep spending whatever you're spending. If you put a floor, you have to spend at least this much.
Right. Yeah.
That would if you had a maximum and a floor, I think that would be good. Like, honestly, the way they can do it is, all right, whoever's paying the most money for their players, that is the cap right now. That is the maximum. Or maybe you add like 5 million to that, and then like it expands every single year.
I mean, I would do one of two things: either make it the average of all 30 teams or 32, whatever it is. So whatever the median is, that should be the cap space maximum. Or if it's like profit sharing or whatever the hell you call it, where it's like, the MLB gets X amount of money in revenue, and then they utilize that money for the cap space. So it's not coming out of the owners; it's coming out of the team's revenue or whatever it is. I don't know the logistics, but you base it off of that. So you would have to make it work so that the players properly get compensated. So it's like, if their revenue is that bad or something, then it would be a drastic change, and then people like Bryce Harper would not be able to get paid the way that they are, But anyway, that's all MLB talk. It's whatever.
Yeah. But I just the reason why I said like whoever's the highest paying team is because like, all right, if you're gonna drop a bombshell, like we're doing a salary cap now, like they're going to be like, well, what the fuck? There was no salary cap before, and we just spent $1 billion on our players.
Yeah.
But if you raise the floor, it's like, if you raise the floor, all right, you have to spend at least this much, and then you can't spend more. You're pushing the A's to spend closer to what the top teams, are spending. And if they don't want to do that, they can sell. They can sell their team to somebody. Somebody will want to spend money, and if the product's going to be better. But that's a conversation for another day. Let me get to these comments, and then we'll finish out the show with the Raiders versus Saints preview. Should be pretty brief. But Anthony says, in regards to the Raiders' next head coach, you got to know they'll bring a good coaching staff. Shanahan had Saleh, D'Amico, McDaniels, LaFleur, and Turner. Here's the thing. That was just Shanahan. Like I mentioned before, one of the good things about Shanahan is his connections and eye for evaluating talent, at least like from the coaching perspective. Like that is like one of his strengths, I would say, that I have enjoyed for his tenure as a coach. There have just been other things I'm just like, what are you doing? Anthony says, when the Niners had Harbaugh, he had Roman, Fangio, Donatel, Tom Sula, and Rathman. Yeah, man. Harbaugh's got those connections too. Yeah. Different connections. Although not everybody likes Greg Roman. I personally, I think like his offense is good for the most part. Like I think it downgraded on the Niners when they got rid of Greg Roman. But he is such a good run game coordinator. God. Greg
Oh yeah.
Roman. Greg Roman is such a good run game coordinator. I love Fangio as a defensive coordinator. Yeah. And then obviously, Rathman. Rathman was he was a great Niner. A little bit before my time, but yeah.
To Anthony's point, whoever the Raiders chooses their head coach needs to have a good coaching staff, the good connections, whatever you want to call it, to bring along with him, especially on offense. But if he's overhauling the entire staff, like you got to have good defensive staff too. Like you got to have the right connections. You got to bring in a good coaching staff. That is imperative for sure.
Who would be the guy that the Raiders could hire who would have those connections? Well, maybe. I mean, here's the thing: Brady can have those connections too.
It's possible.
But
possible, but probably a lot of expatriates though. Which, honestly, that leads me to Vrabel. He had it working really fucking well in Tennessee.
You don't want Patriot connections though.
Well, honestly,
aside from Bill Belichick and Vrabel, everyone else failed.
Yeah, the Titans weren't, I don't think, a Patriots like funnel so much as like McDaniels and obviously Belichick. Yeah. I'm curious who was on Vrabel's staff when he was with them, but that's for another day. I mean, in theory, I don't know how many of these guys would want to leave the Lions, but if Ben Johnson is the guy, like he could probably bring a lot of, the coaching staff, especially like assistants or something from the Lions, and just kind of build the Lions offense 2.0. I don't know if he has good connections on defense, maybe you bring the linebackers coach or whatever from the Lions, he's the defensive coordinator, and you're just going full blown young coaching staff, inexperienced, but previous success, I mean, I don't know who else is out there that would have really, really great connections. It's hard to pick apart good connections,
Question: would you rather have Ben Johnson be the Raiders head coach, or would you rather have Brad Holmes be the Raiders GM? You can only pick one or the other.
Brad Holmes being the Lions GM?
Yeah, he's the Lions GM.
I would much rather have Ben Johnson as the head coach.
Really?
I think Brad Holmes has done a great job, obviously, but I don't think there's a coordinator that's close to as good as Ben Johnson right now. Like the creativity that he brings week in and week out to their offense is fucking gorgeous, and I want it so bad.
Hold on. Let me see Ben Johnson coaching career because I'm curious. But as a coach,
Dolphins.
He was the passing game coordinator in 2021, and then oh, okay. He's been with the Lions since 2019, actually. He was
with the Lions back when Campbell was there. Or, sorry, Dolphins. But continue. Damn.
Yeah. So, he was an offensive quality control coach in 2019 for the Lions. Then he got switched over from 2020 to 2021 as the tight ends coach. Then became the passing game coordinator in 21. And then from 2022 till the present, he's the offensive coordinator. Yeah, man. You know what? Campbell's first year was 2021, right? And they didn't put everything together until like literally they started being like pretty good on offense in like these past 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I think them learning Ben Johnson's offense. You know what? That's a good answer. Ben Johnson. I love his creativity too, like you mentioned. You
Yeah,
genuinely.
that's the
Sometimes you just
main.
think of plays like, why don't they do this? And he does that.
They were on Thursday Night Football, I want to say, a couple weeks ago. I don't know who they were playing against. At least I think it was Thursday Night Football. But I just want to say they were on Thursday Night Football because I was watching the Prime Vision or whatever it's called. And they did multiple jet sweeps with Amon-Ra St. Brown. No, they only did one. I'm thinking of Puka Nacua that one week that the Rams were on. Maybe they were playing each other. I don't fucking know. But I know the Rams did like multiple jet sweeps with Puka Nacua. But point being, I just remember there was one jet sweep that the Lions did a couple weeks ago. I want to say it was Thursday Night Football because I swear it was on Prime Vision. And I usually don't even care for jet sweeps, dude. I really think that most of the time they kind of suck. It was the most beautifully intricate, precisely blocked jet sweep that I have ever fucking seen. Maybe it was because of the Prime Vision, so I could, as the play was going, it's like you could see the guard pulling and everything. Like it was just like that was perfect. That was fucking perfect. And it's just I want to watch every play of the Lions because of the way that they just I have reposted so many of their lateral plays on TikTok just because I watch it. I'm like okay, I've had this is stupid, but you have those like moments where you kind of like fantasize of like, man, what would I do if I were offensive coordinator in the NFL? And like, there was one period in time where I was like, I think I would try 2 quarterbacks. Stupid, dumb, it wouldn't work. But I swear I've had a thought at one point of like, because we play NFL Street and you can pitch the ball, I was like, anytime I see a lateral play, which it happens now more with him and like the Chiefs last year in the playoff game with Travis Kelce didn't work, but I would integrate laterals because you can't defend it. You can't predict it. So if you have a crossing route, and then somebody on a post, or at least it looks like a post, he catches, like he just hits the break out of the post, catches the ball, the crosser's coming the other direction. All the defenders are caving in on the guy that just caught the ball. Boom, he pitches it to the guy who's going full speed on the crosser. He gets the ball, he curves upfield. He might be gone because nobody was going to go for him. It's genius, and nobody else does it. And one play a game. You should do it one play a game. Do a lateral. And Ben Johnson's the only guy. Not the only guy, but like he's doing it often. And then this week, they had a play where it was a touchdown to Sam Laporta. You probably know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, where
Jared
Gibbs
Goff
fake tripped and then
they both fake tripped as if one of them fumbled. Like they made it look like Goff was stumbling. He had the ball, but like Gibbs was playing as if he dropped the ball in a different direction. And because it was like a play action, like the defense all shifted with the offensive line to the right. Meanwhile, Goff is stumbling to the left. He's got nobody. I'm assuming a defender thought Gibbs had the ball or something. Laporta's wide open. It's just little creative shit that they do. I'm just like, give him backup multiple Brinks trucks to his house. Just give it to him. Whenever and whoever he is the head coach for, he will succeed.
I could see it now. Wherever Ben Johnson goes, he can bring. I mean, he would probably poach a couple people from the Lions staff because he's been there for so long and knows so many people. Like maybe some assistant general managers or like other people who are there to. I mean, I guess I don't know how much staff is needed for the Raiders if they're going to keep Telesco, but I say coaching staff just overhaul it. No more Rob Ryan. He's been with the Raiders forever.
It's been like 2 or 3 years.
He's been with the he was with the Raiders back in the day,
Right.
right? Because I still always like remember the way that that Grant's dad or the Lowell Cone, tells the story about how Bill Walsh would call him, and he'd be like, tell me about that fat fuck on the Raiders. And he was talking about Rob Ryan. Mike, are you still here? We lost Mike. It's okay. We'll get Mike back in just a second. Frank says, Goff, the Novato knife. I'll come back to this comment. Just in case Mike comes back, because I want to tell Mike too. Mike LaFleur, the Rams offensive coordinator, he's a disciple from Shanahan / McVay. He's not a Ben Johnson, but he's interesting. Yeah, I think Mike LaFleur is the Houston Texans coordinator right now. Let me just double check, because there's Matt LaFleur, there's Mike LaFleur. Here, Mike LaFleur. Just need to make sure that he is offense coordinator for the Rams right now. I don't know why I thought he was the Texans. Is there who's the offensive coordinator or the passing game coordinator for the Texans? Texans coaching staff. Oh, you know what? It's Bobby Slowick. Yeah, I don't know why I thought maybe he was before. Mike was Mike LaFleur. Was Mike LaFleur with the Texans before? Or is he just on the Rams? No, he had to have been with the Niners and then just went to the Rams.
I think you're right.
Yeah, but to Anthony's point, Mike LaFleur is the Rams. Okay. All right. I just had to reread the first part of the question. So this could be an entire clip. I was like, yeah, Mike LaFleur, that's the offensive coordinator of the Texans. He literally said it right there. I read it out loud, and I just, jeez. Okay. Yeah, he's the disciple of Shanahan and McVay. He's not a Ben Johnson, but he's interesting. What do you think of Mike LaFleur, Mike?
2014 offensive intern with the Browns, offensive assistant with the Falcons from 2015 to 16, Niners passing game coordinator and wide receivers coach 2017 to 18, passing game coordinator 2019 to 20 for the Niners. So clearly he followed Shanahan, and then went to the New York Jets as offensive coordinator 2021 to 22, probably with Saleh, and then now he's with the Rams under McVay.
He was with the Jets.
That's I knew he was with somebody else. Yeah,
okay. That's why I thought he was with the Texans. I was just thinking of the wrong defensive coordinator. He went with Saleh, not D'Amico.
Right. Mike LaFleur is interesting because he's gotten experience under the right coaching tree, and offensive coordinator. Well, let's look at Kevin O'Connell. Was he the offensive coordinator or quarterbacks coach? I feel like he had to be the offensive coordinator with the Rams.
Real quick, Anthony says Mike LaFleur worked with Robert Saleh too. He could bring Saleh as defensive coordinator. I just wonder if Saleh is just going to stay put in Green Bay.
I forgot he's in Green Bay. Maybe. Yeah. I mean, if he can get a defensive coordinator job, though, he probably would. That's got to be what he would seek right now. Because that's what he was really successful with. And then also with Mike LaFleur, maybe he struggled in New York because the personnel was really bad. With Zach Wilson and stuff. So I can give him a pass for that. Kevin O'Connell. Pretty similar experience as Mike LaFleur, honestly. Like, he was He was the quarterbacks coach and passing game coordinator with the Redskins in 2018, offensive coordinator for the Redskins in 2019, and then offensive coordinator with the Rams 2020 to 21. So for what, one season? And then boom, Minnesota Vikings head coach, stud. Hey, I mean, maybe I want to say LaFleur is the brother of Matt LaFleur.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think Matt LaFleur is a fucking stud. So, yeah, I could see it. I'm fine with it. I lean the young offensive mind. So if and the Shanahan tree, I dig it. It seems like McVay pumps out some good coaches. So, the fact that he's got a year with him, just like Kevin O'Connell did, I like it.
Yeah, I mean McVay pumped out Brandon Staley.
Absolutely.
The most popular coach in our group chat.
Yes.
But,
who is the Bills offensive coordinator?
Currently?
Yeah. Joe Brady. That's another option.
Yeah. Another option, I guess, could be like Shane Waldron, the offensive coordinator of the Ravens, but I don't know. No. Sorry, Todd Monken. Sorry.
There you go.
Shane Waldron was the Bears guy.
Yeah, and he got fired.
Yeah. Yeah. He's available.
Yeah, he is.
Hire him now. No. Sorry, it's I'm just off tonight, man. What is it? I'm over here reading past the obvious here, when he told me exactly who he was the offensive coordinator for, and I made it harder for myself. Sorry, Anthony. Bear with us. But yeah, I guess Mike LaFleur would be interesting. Definitely, like you said, not as great maybe as a candidate as Ben Johnson. But I do want to get back to Frank's comment. He said Goff, the Novato knife. I have family in Novato, and Jared Goff obviously went to school at Marin Catholic, and that is where my dad went to school and played baseball. It's where my uncle Steve played. He played football and also was the quarterback there. So it's kind of cool that in a way Jared Goff is being able to be successful in the NFL and comes from close by. I just I find that cool.
He what's from close by?
Okay. There have been multiple times tonight where I could stop you for some stupid shit, okay? Okay. But yeah, my Aunt Mary also is in the Marin Catholic Hall of Fame, I think, for sports too. So it's just kind of cool that that's where Goff came from out of high school and then, successful in the NFL.
Thank God his name isn't Jack. Am I right?
Jeez. All right. Let's get to Raiders versus Saints before Mike just gets our YouTube channel taken down for being so awful. No. Raiders are going to be hopefully losing this one, right, Mike? It's going to be close because the Saints are missing Derek Carr. Oh man, I wish Derek Carr was really, I really wish Derek Carr was playing in this game because the Raiders are the one team that he has left to lose to in terms of losing to every single team in the NFL.
I wish he was playing in this game so that I'd be confident that we weren't going to lose, although he wasn't playing that good anyways, so.
Yeah, all right, so they're missing Derek Carr, they're missing Taysom Hill, they're missing Alvin Kamara. They're missing their head coach because they fired him. They're missing Chris Olave. They're missing Rashid Shaheed. Dude, the Raiders are going to win this game, aren't they, Mike? This is bad. This is bad.
This is very bad. This is not good. This is not good. Is this is in New Orleans?
Yes.
And what sucks is like I can't judge how this current Saints team looks because they play tomorrow. So I can't be like, well, this is how they played this week.
Our opinions can change. Like if tomorrow the Saints look, really good for whatever reason, like, if they come in and whoop on the Packers, I'll feel a lot differently and I'll probably pick the Saints to win. But I expect it to look ugly, and I don't know, give me the Raiders in this one. I think the Raiders are going to win.
I want a hot streak with picking the Raiders.
You are.
So I'm gonna utilize my powers for the good of mankind, aka Raider fans, and I'm gonna say the Saints are gonna win this game.
Like, all right, let's just say, the Saints who are going to play tomorrow night. For example, if they go into Green Bay, win, Kendre Miller sets like the all-time NFL record for most rushing yards and most rushing touchdowns in a game. Like, let's just say he gets like some absurd number, like 7.
Yeah, we don't need that. We don't. I'm still facing Kendre Miller in fantasy. We don't need all that.
Yeah, like, dude, you're up by so much. That's why I have to say, oh yeah, he has to set these records. Like, that would be like if let's just say he got 200 yards on the ground, no catches, 200 yards and no touchdowns, you would still be winning by like 20 something. And you have the Packers the Packers defense would probably not be doing good.
Yeah, no, I'd probably be getting negative points, and no.
But
that's
another conversation for another day. Besides that, like, these are just two really bad teams facing each other. It's going to be, man, all of a sudden the Raiders are hitting their medicine, and they refuse to take it.
Yeah.
They're going to win this damn game. O'Connell's going to play decent, or he's going to look pretty good. Brock Bowers is going to look great. Hopefully. Oh, man. Brock Bowers, if there's one week where I need you, buddy, set some records, man. Brock Bowers, please, Brock Bowers, I am begging you, have the game of your life, okay? I want 30 out of you. Not 30 fantasy points, 30 touchdowns. 30 touchdowns this week. It's not happening, but yeah, man, please let this be a big Brock Bowers game. I will be so happy. This might be the last time that I have the trophy in the background, I don't know. What do you think, Big Money Sonny? Welcome to the channel. It says Washington. So we have talked about Jaden Daniels today. Jaden Daniels has been great. He's not playing in this game that we're talking about right now, but we welcome fans of all teams in the NFL. Jaden Daniels looks great, and that was Mike's guy. Frank says, I think the Raiders win, of course. So when I got Frank on my side, I mean, how could I lose? The Raiders are going to win this game. I'm like,
that's just, I hope not.
And then
I hope
they'll do what you said they'll do at the beginning of the season, where you said, I guarantee that they split with the Chargers. You said.
Yeah, that's great. They'll win out the final 3 games of the season and just end up right back at the 13th overall pick.
Yeah, and then you know what? Like, it's kind of funny to think about it, but like, all right, I read the comments that you guys leave on like our videos that aren't live. So like, we try to respond to those, as fast as we can. But I did read an opinion from somebody. I forget exactly who it is, but shout out to you. They have a different perspective. They think that Antonio Pierce should get another season with the team at least, because it's like, constantly changing. And just feels like blowing it up and starting over. They're just kind of tired of that, and would like to have the continuity. And they don't, they kind of agreed with Richard Sherman. So that, if you want to look for like the comments back and forth, I think it's under the Richard Sherman video about like whether or not Antonio Pierce was set up for failure. But wouldn't it be something if the Raiders win these last 3 games, or these, I guess, last 2 games, and then the fan base is like, you know what? Antonio Pierce wasn't the problem. We need to keep Antonio Pierce. We just need to assemble a better team under Antonio Pierce. And then the same thing happens again next year, and the next year, and the next year, and the next year, and the next year. But just, it's the same thing with the Raiders, just different coaches, right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Either way, I'm going to be, at the very least, wanting to be inebriated by the end of the game every single week.
Yeah, Mike's going to find himself in the back of a police car saying, I'm not drunk, I'm just, you don't understand. The Raiders have a big game this week.
Yeah.
They don't need this right now.
It's been a while since they've had a big game.
Well, no, they just had a big game. And you know
in
what?
In the reverse aspect, yep.
Yeah, they just had a massive game against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Raiders lost by winning.
Yeah.
Because they, like, this past year, like, all right, everybody always says, well, they can just trade. They can just trade their assets to, move back up into whatever spot in the draft, right? What if the other team doesn't want to trade with you? Like, I don't think there's a price the Raiders could have put to get Jaden Daniels from the Commanders. That was their guy. What? Me coughing?
That just reminded me of that one time.
Oh, yeah. If you guys have been watching the stream for long enough, there was one time where I was just coughing throughout the whole pod, and Mike like imitated what I was looking like, and it looked so bad.
It was good.
I forget what episode that was, but I need to rewatch that. But Frank says, I like AP, and apparently the players do too, but his decisions in crucial situations is not good, especially on 4th downs and PATs. There have been a couple times this year where, like, we've sided with Antonio Pierce on a couple of them, and then there's been other times where, I think that we were also critical of him. So I would definitely like to have a coach that makes, I mean, it's tough because, like, as long as decisions work, they're sound decisions, but, yeah. As long as decisions work, you're going to find consistency, is what I was going to say. But yeah, that's the show, everyone. Honestly, this was a great one, besides the fact that, like, Anthony told me that Mike LaFleur was the Rams OC, and I was like, oh yeah, what team was he? He's with the Texans, right? Like, it was a perfect show until that. So really, this should be Mike's podcast, and no, we're a team just like the Raiders, and they're gonna go kick ass on Sunday, right, Mike?
No, they could. I could say some explicive things right now.
Dude, I don't know, man. I have a feeling. I have a feeling.
Oh, I do too. But I'm trying to sway the luck in their favor, so they can lose like they need to.
You guys, dude, would you take Ashton Genty
GNT, however you say it.
if he fell to the Raiders? Like, let's just say you don't get a top pick, like, or like a top 5 pick, and he like fell to like pick number 8. Raiders need a running back.
Yeah, no, I mean,
and then you get Arch Manning the next year.
In theory,
or you Gianti and Justin Fields.
See, now we're talking. Now we're cooking. You would have to focus at that point on the rest of the offensive, which really, I mean, there's not that much to replace on the offensive line. That's something I didn't get to talk about. I've just been not paying enough attention, apparently. I thought, and this is going to sound bad, I thought Andre James was hurt this whole time. Nope. He was fucking benched for Jackson Powers Johnson. I didn't know that. And they just re-signed him to a pretty good deal for a center. So I don't know what that's going to amount to. Like, in theory, if you want to put like your best guys on the field, you'd have Jackson Powers Johnson at like left guard and Andre James at center. But if he was benched, clearly he wasn't playing good. And Powers Johnson has been playing better. Today they had Andre James start at center because the left guard was out. Point being, you know, if you go with Gianti, you have to get the offensive line right. You know, especially if you're not going to have a good quarterback. Like, it's just not worth it. I mean, we talked about it last week of like teams that go and sign or trade for a veteran running back, like top tier running backs, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Christian McCaffrey, those guys, Saquon Barkley. You should be a good team that's already winning, and getting that running back just kind of solidifies your offense, you know? So drafting Gianti, it's like, if you don't have the quarterback, you're just wasting Gianti's prime. You know, it's not worth it. At that point, I'd rather them draft an offensive tackle and then in a year or two let Colton Miller walk. You know, get them more premier position with the first round pick. If you're not going to get a quarterback, get a defensive end, get an offensive tackle, corner. You know, if there's a stud wide receiver, cool. But otherwise, you can get a good receiver in the 3rd round, you know?
Yep.
So.
Yeah. But, you know, Frank says, thank you, gentlemen. Always enjoy your show. We always enjoy the comments. We definitely have appreciated that you guys have taken time out of your day. I want to say thank you to, you know, Frank, Big Money, Sonny, Anthony, C, and Brandon, and obviously Pia. We can't thank you guys enough for your continued support of the channel, and just, you know, whether it's liking the streams, commenting, subscribing, anything kind of helps us. Like, if we can like extend our reach, get more people, you know, tuning into the channel, it's always great. But Mike and I genuinely enjoy streaming. Frank says, Merry Christmas / Happy Holidays. Thank you for the reminder. I almost forgot. Christmas is on Wednesday. So Merry Christmas to everybody who celebrates Christmas. Happy holidays, you know, if you celebrate other holidays. Yeah. Do you have any last words, Mike, before we get out of here tonight?
Just go Saints.